What's up? It's your boy KC. How y'all doing? This is episode 4 of the show. The Undertaker finally made his epic return back to Raw and targeted his next victim, Brock Lesnar. And this is going to be off the chain because the last time that Undertaker fought Brock Lesnar, he was still doing the badass gimmick in the early 2000s. So this is the very first time we'll see the Dead Man Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. And out of all matches on the WrestleMania card, this is the one I want to see. Screw Orton and Batista. Screw all the other guys, because I really don't even care about anything else. I just wanted to see who Undertaker was going to go up against. And I am so happy. This is going to be an epic match. And speaking of that, I think I'm going to run my memory here and see if I can name all the WrestleMania opponents that The Undertaker has faced over the years. Starting with number 1, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. 2, Jake the Snake Roberts. 3, Giant Gonzalez. 4, King Kong Bundy. 5, Diesel. 6, Psycho Sid. 7, Kane. 8, Big Boss Man. 9, Triple H. 10, Ric Flair. 11, which is Albert and Big Show. 12, which is Kane again. 13, which is Randy Orton. 14, Mark Henry. 15, Batista. 16, Edge. 17, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels for his 18th win. 19 was Triple H. 20 was Triple H. 21 is CM Punk. And if we're lucky, Brock Lesnar will be number 22. And I never go against Taker at WrestleMania because I know what's going to happen. But I think I'll name a few of my favorite Undertaker matches. Awesome matches. I got to go with number 1, which would be Undertaker versus Mankind in the Boiler Room Brawl match. Everything about this match, I loved everything about it. All the way down to the end to where Paul Bearer turned his back on The Undertaker and joined up with Mankind. And speaking of Paul Bearer, he's going to take his rightful place in the Hall of Fame, and I'm happy for the guy. Rest in peace, William Moody. Paul Bearer, one of the greatest managers who ever lived. Oh yes, and my Undertaker, laugh at the fat man. He was cool, man. Cool dude, entertaining. I enjoy watching his promos and watching him do his job. And like I said, rest in peace. Moving on to number 2, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in the very first Hell in a Cell match. Everything that you could do to a man in a match, they did that. They left it all in the ring. All the way leading up to probably one of the most epic debuts in wrestling history, Kane. Everything about that match was right. Everything fell into place. This big monster comes in and rips the door off the hinges and just gets in the ring, and he stares down the Undertaker and turns Undertaker upside down and dumps him on his head, giving Shawn Michaels the win. Epic match. Everything about that match was perfect. I wouldn't take nothing out of it. I wouldn't put nothing in there. Everything was smooth. And number 3, The Undertaker versus Diesel in his 5th WrestleMania win. 2 big giants going at it with extreme agility and power. I don't think Kevin Nash could have ever had a better match than he had that night. He took The Undertaker to the limit. You had 2 big giants. Kevin Nash wanted to be the man. He wanted to be the king of the mountain, so to speak, as he always said. And he felt in order for him to do that, he needed to take out The Undertaker. Knock The Undertaker out of a place that it took him years to get to. And they had an epic match. Undertaker came out the winner, of course. And that was one of the greatest matches that Kevin Nash has ever had, and one of the greatest matches that Undertaker has ever had. And it was just a great match. Number 4, of course, Undertaker in his 17th win versus Shawn Michaels. Just when you think that Shawn Michaels could not be any better than what he was when he was in his prime, this guy came out there and he left it all out there. There were moments in this match where I thought that Undertaker was going to lose. The fact that Shawn Michaels kept kicking out of the tombstone, he caught Undertaker with sweet chin music not once but twice. And I'm like, yo, Undertaker might lose this the way that it's going. Naturally, Undertaker won, but that was an epic match, a classic match. And if you look at in the history of WrestleMania, that has to be one of the top 5 WrestleMania matches of all time. Period. One of the greatest matches of all time. A true masterpiece. And number 5, Undertaker versus Kane in his 7th WrestleMania win, the first match that they ever had. This big monster comes out of nowhere that was chiseled out of solid steel. Kane beat the hell out of the Undertaker. I've never seen Undertaker ever take that much damage in a match ever. And it took not 1, not 2, but 3 tombstone pile drivers to beat this monster. You never had to go beyond 1 to beat somebody, maybe 2, when you went up against Shawn Michaels. But 3 tombstone pile drivers to beat this guy. And that match was just awesome. That was just, I can't even say nothing else about it. That match was just awesome. Period. Moving on. It looks like the Chicago fans are pretty disappointed now because they were expecting CM Punk to come back last night, which didn't happen. He didn't say he was coming back. I didn't expect him to come back, and I don't think CM Punk will be back before WrestleMania anyways. I know everybody had their hopes up, but it's just not going to happen. The guy's not ready. He's burnt out. The guy needs time to recuperate, obviously. And it is true that WWE should have took notice that this guy was burnt out and he was tired and that you can't overwork your talent. But I still stick by what I said, that this guy had a contract that he needed to honor. I spoke on this in the last episode. I'm not going to go too much into it. But he did what he did. He was wrong for it. He could have did it another way, more professional way, but he didn't do it. But he comes back when he comes back. And while I'm on the subject, this whole Twitter crap that they did with the Chicago fans rallying up and saying we're going to do nothing but chant CM Punk, what kind of ridiculous shit is that? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. That's retarded. You actually plan to do nothing but cheer CM Punk through the whole entire show? You plan to disrespect these guys and shit all over everything that they're trying to do? Okay, very smart. Very, very smart. That's the way to act. Bunch of immature little babies. I swear. The Usos winning the WWE Tag Team Championships. And I am happy for these guys. Extremely happy because they worked their asses off to get them. Making them the 3rd generation tag team of Samoan wrestlers to be tag team champions. Going all the way back to the Wild Samoans, Alpha and Sinka. They were tag team champions before they dropped the belts to Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas. Moving on to their father, Fatu or Rikishi, either one. Their father and their partner in the Head Shrinkers when they were the WWF Tag Team Champions. And now these guys are. So I'm glad that they got them because it's long overdue. It's long overdue for them to be the champions. They're a great team, and I hope that they do great with this title run and it's not cut short. I'm happy for them. Video gamers. Looks like we got a couple of good games to look forward to this year. I was looking online and I got to see Rambo. They finally gonna make a real Rambo game. I'm not talking about that Nintendo crap that they did. They're gonna do a new one coming out April 29th. Now, I have a problem with this because this is a first-person shooter, which completely turned my attention away from it. However, people who love first-person shooters and love the game, go get it. You got a new Transformers game coming out in June 24th this year. I don't know what it's about yet, but I know that they're working on it, so I hope that is good. I hope that is great. You got Madden 2015. Surprise, surprise. How could I not see that coming? Moving on. You got The Evil Within that's supposed to be scheduled to come out in August 26th. I believe that game is supposed to come out. And it is a creation of the guy who made the original Resident Evil. So that's very, very interesting to see what this game is going to be about, because you got a guy who created a masterpiece like Resident Evil. And I am extremely curious. I'm going to check the game out when it comes out. You got the HD versions of Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X2, which I can't wait for that to come out, and I'm going to go and get that. That's scheduled to come out March 18th this month, and I'm going to pick that up. You got a new Ninja Gaiden that's coming out. Let me see if I can pronounce it right. Yaiba Ninja Gaiden. I can't wait to see what it's about. I did see a couple of screenshots at GameStop when I was there. It is not Ryu Hayabusa. From what I understand, it's a younger ninja. It looks very good, and I'm going to try it out. You got a new Dynasty Warriors Legends that's coming out a little later on this year. I hope that it's going to be good. So if you like any of these games, make sure you pre-order them. You go pick them up. Shaq, man, just stop playing with us, man. We do not need another Shaq Fu. Are you that bored at your house that you need to come up with a sequel to one of the worst fighting games ever created in fighting game history? Shaq Fu sucks ass. Everything about that game sucks. The controllers are garbage. The moves suck. You have a better chance of lifting a car by yourself than trying to pull off a move in Shaq Fu. Everything about that game is garbage. We do not need another Shaq Fu. I would rather see Shaq do Kazam Part 2 and Steel Part 2 than to ever see another Shaq Fu game. Just stop it. Just get the idea out of your mind. Stop smoking crack and leave the idea alone, man. Just let it be. Top 10 of the video game franchises that need to go away, and top 10 of the video game franchises that need to come back. I did my own list of my own opinions, so if people want to get mad, then be mad. Number 10 of the top 10 list of video game franchises that need to go away, Call of Duty. Every single Call of Duty looks exactly the same. There's nothing different about it. Get over yourselves. The DLC ain't worth buying because all this is just older content from older games. Being lazy, being greedy with money. Get rid of Call of Duty. Number 9, Legos. The Lego games are just plain silly. Just plain silly. To take a guy like Batman and make him into a joke like that is ridiculous. Why would you do something like that? Nobody asked for it. I don't even think little kids like those games. Get rid of that. Pokemon needs to go because Pokemon is getting really old now. It's really old. It's nothing different. All you do is catch Pokemon. When I first started playing Pokemon, I was a huge fan when there was 151 Pokemon. Now there's 3,000. When you guys make up your mind, it's time to move on. Time to do something different. Number 8, NBA. The NBA games, especially the 2K games. Stop it. Just stop. Like I said about every other sports game, we don't need to pay $60 just to play as a couple of new guys. Why don't you just add these guys into the previous game that you have? Charge $1, charge $5. Why do we have to pay $60 for a brand new game that looks exactly like the last game but only has a couple of new guys in it? That's not being greedy, man. You just cheating the hell out of people. We need to get rid of that. We need the same thing with NFL games, which is the next one. Same reason. I'm not even going to go through it again. Same reason. Just to play as a couple of new guys. $60. Come on, man. We need to get rid of these godforsaken Just Dance games. I said it. Just Dance sucks. It's horrible. The way that they take music and they put these just cheesy moves to it. When I play a video game, I just want the game controller. That's all I want. I don't want to dance around like an idiot to play the game. And the worst thing about it is watching people with absolutely no rhythm at all trying to play these games that cannot dance worth nothing is the worst thing a man could ever see in his entire life. I would rather swim in a tank full of sharks than to ever watch that again. There's nothing worse than someone that cannot dance at all, period. Trying to do all these different kinds of moves, it's just sad. It's sad. Enough to make any kitten or puppy cry. I tell you that. Next on the list, Wii Sports. Why do we need Wii Sports when we have thousands of sports games out there right now? NBA games, NFL games, FIFA games, baseball games, golf games. Why do we need a bunch of disfigured characters that really look ridiculous playing sports? Get rid of that. Next on the list is the Wii Fit games. Exercise games. Wow, that's so fun. I just can't wait to do that when I could just go to the gym right now and do the exact same thing without knocking holes in the wall and without people knocking on the ceilings. Hey, cut out that noise up there. I'm going to call the landlord right now. Who needs that? Who needs a notice on the door? Come on, man. All this is just a lazy way to keep people in the house so they won't go out. Come on, man. Let's be real. Next in line, WWE games. I love wrestling to death, but all wrestling games look the same, just like I said about NBA, just like I said about NFL. It's the same exact reason. I don't want to pay $60 just to play as the Ultimate Warrior. Put them in the game for $5 and make everybody happy. Stop cheating, everybody. And last but not least, as much as I love it, Street Fighter. Street Fighter needs to go. I am so tired of this trend that Capcom seems to do where they have one good game and they just milk it for all it's worth. Going all the way back to the 90s where you had 145 versions of Street Fighter 2. You had Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Black Belt Edition, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, and the list goes on and on. And you're just wondering, like, why do you keep doing that? It's the same damn game. There's nothing new about it. It's just a different title. And now they're doing it with Street Fighter 4. When Street Fighter 4 came out, I'm like, hey, this is cool. But when they had to come out with Super Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, Ultra Street Fighter 4, which is nothing different about the game except new costumes. That's all that it is. My God, when are you guys going to quit? So many other gaming franchises that you guys can go back to, but you keep just copying and pasting the same thing over and over again. And going on to that, we need to go back to this is my top 10 list of video game franchises that need to come back. Number 10, Onimusha. For people who don't know that, you play as Samanosuke, or you play as Jubei, who is in number 2, or Soki. You just dudes with swords. It's like Resident Evil, only in samurai times. You just go through and slice up different demons and you get powers and stuff. It's awesome. We haven't had one since 2006, where Onimusha Dawn of Dreams came out for PS2. 2006. They haven't done nothing with it since then. I would love to see it come back. Number 9, Final Fight. Everybody knows what Final Fight is when you went into the arcade and you see 3 guys. You see Guy, Cody, and then I keep forgetting what that big dude's name was. I think Hager. I think his name was. Yeah, Hager. A beat 'em up, a classic beat 'em up style game where you just go down the street and you beat the crap out of everybody. Made by Capcom. I don't know why they stopped. That game was awesome. Nobody told them to stop making that game, but it's about time we get a new one. Stop making Street Fighter games and go to these games. Number 8, Darkstalkers. Another fighting franchise that was made by Capcom, which hasn't had no attention in God knows how long. I haven't seen a Darkstalkers game since it was in the arcade. And that was what, the late 90s? What, 1999 was the last time I seen a Darkstalkers game? That's pitiful. That is pitiful. Why? That was a great franchise. Why would they just bury it like that? I'm not understanding it. Siphon Filter is next. For people who don't remember, that's about a story about this guy named Gabriel Logan, cool name. He's some kind of special agent, kind of like a Metal Gear knockoff. You know what I'm saying? It was a great game for what it was worth. It was out on PlayStation. You get all kinds of different guns to go and different missions and shoot people and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. I like to see that come back. They did have a couple for PSP, which didn't really go anywhere. I don't know why. I guess maybe the controller sucked. I don't know. I haven't played it. Metroid. One of my favorite gaming franchises of all time. I haven't seen Samus Aran since 2009. when they had that god awful Metroid Other M. What were you guys doing in that game? Who in the hell thought of the control scheme for this game? The only way you can shoot is in first person. That's the only way you can shoot stuff. What are you guys thinking? That's not Metroid. Metroid is a side scroller. They had the side scrolling part right, but when you go to shoot, it's first person. And with the Wii controllers, which sucks to begin with, trying to aim it at that stupid plastic bar on top of your TV just made it so hard to play the game. I just couldn't do it. I could not stand it. What were you guys thinking, Nintendo? But I digress. We need a new Metroid. We need something new. The 3DS has been out for years now. And now with the Wii U coming out, there should be no reason why they can't get started on a new Metroid. It's been a long time. We need a new one. Capcom. There seem to be a lot of games coming from you guys that you guys have not done. And if you know what I'm going to say, Mega Man fans, Mega Man, you need to bring him back. Mega Man was one and still is one of the best gaming franchises that Capcom has ever had. And you've done nothing with it. In years, you've done nothing with Mega Man to the point to where the guy who created the game had to go and remake his own game. What does that say to you? What are you guys doing? Why are you doing that? Mega Man was off the chain for the fans. I mean, there's a huge following this robot. They love Mega Man. I finally sat down and I played Mega Man and I enjoyed it. I'm like, all the wasted years. Oh my God. It's awesome. Why? Is there any reason why you guys would not continue with this series? You already made what? I think 3 or you made 4. You developed 4 and then canceled it. Canceled all of them. Why? You just wasted all the money, wasted all the people's time and money. People that sat by and say, oh man, I can't wait for this to come out, and then you cancel it, and then you don't give any reason why it's canceled, except for the 4th one where you blame the fan base for not having enough input in the game. In that case, screw you guys. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Moving on, Fatal Fury, SNK. A great fighting game. Fatal Fury, I loved it. Back in the arcade days where they had that, and they had it for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo with Terry Bogard and Andy Bogard and Joe. A great style fighting game. I would love to see them go back and make that, because, you know, we had Street Fighter games, we've had Dead or Alive games, and come to think of it, SNK hasn't had any games in years anyways. So it would be refreshing to see that. Or at least have another one where you have a remake of Capcom versus SNK, because that was awesome on PS2 and I still have it. Contra. You guys, I see that you guys had a little crappy app for a Contra game. That ain't gonna work, man. I think that Contra would be perfect on a handheld console. The Nintendo 3DS, it would be perfect to have a new Contra on there. If you take the first one and remake it, or just do a new one. I like to see that. Dino Crisis. I know that everybody's like, oh, you know, yeah, who cares? You know, but Dino Crisis, the first one, I enjoyed it. I knew it was a Resident Evil clone, just with dinosaurs. But I enjoyed the game. It was fun playing as Regina, going through and killing dinosaurs. What more can a man ask for? What makes you feel more like an alpha man than killing dinosaurs, giants, giant lizards? I loved every second of it. The second one was more of just going through and shooting everything in the area. I could get down with that too. I would like to see that. They had a third one. I believe it was on the first Xbox that came out, and all I heard was nothing but negative reviews. Everybody said that this game was garbage. It sucked. And I didn't even want to waste my money to play a game where it has nothing but negative reviews. I mean, because usually when people say something sucks, it sucks. I mean, Do I have to name any games like X Blades, Blades of Time, Devil May Cry 2? They said that game sucks, and I just had to try it. Stupid me. I just had to try it. I remember getting X Blades. I took that home and I played it for 5 minutes, and I was right back at GameStop, and I said, I want my money back, dude. This game sucks. And last but not least, one of my favorite all-time fighting games, Bushido Blade. Square Enix, y'all need to get on it. Get on it. It's been a long time since we've seen a Bushido Blade game, and now would be the best time to do it. Can you imagine a Bushido Blade game in today's graphics? I mean, PlayStation was epic enough, but can you imagine for PS3 or PS4 how beautiful that game would be? They can make the controllers more fluent, add more of a variety of weapons, and a new storyline with some new people, and I think it would be epic. I think that Square Enix needs to create this new experience that could rival games like Soul Calibur and Tekken and Street Fighter, Dead or Alive. I think it would be awesome. I want to talk about the PlayStation Now service. For people who don't know, the PlayStation Now service is a streaming service that will allow you to play all Sony games on your PS Vita or PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 mobile devices and tablets. I, for one, can't wait for it to come out, because this is going to be the one thing that puts Sony over any other console, that is going to sell more than any other console ever, period. Because when they do this, it is going to be epic. The fans are going to get into this. Being able to play PS2 games, which you can already do, PS2 games on the PS3 or PS4. You can play PS3 games on the PS4, PS3 games on the PS Vita, and so forth and so forth. And I'm just loving this concept, and I just hope that it is successful. You know what I'm saying? So that's what PlayStation Now is. It's just a streaming system. Now, it's not going to be perfect, because no streaming service is. Look at the WWE Network and all the glitches and all that stuff that they're going through. They're going to have to work out the kinks, and it's going to take time to do that. But I want to see how this is going to work. Because if this is going to be as great as they say it's going to be, I'll buy a PS4 in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Being able, like I said, to use my Vita to play PS3 games and PS2 games, that's something I've been wanting for years. And you cannot tell me that when they come out with this system, that all Sony products are going to be sold out. All Sony products. Vitas are going to hit more sales. The PS4 already hit 6 million already. They sold 6 million PS4s. That is awesome. Something that I already knew was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. And great for Sony, man. I hope that it keeps going and it gets greater and greater. I hope that they develop more games to come out for the system so I can get my hands on the PS4. Another thing I do want to talk about on the downside when it comes to PlayStation is when you go into the PlayStation, when you go into the PSN network, there are a lot of games that are missing. A lot of games that should be in the library of PlayStation games and PS2 games and PSP games that are not there. And I look through and I'm like, why wouldn't you put that? Like Tomb Raider Anniversary, the remake of Tomb Raider 1 for PlayStation. They had it in the PSP library. Now all of a sudden it's not there anymore. They don't have the Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi tag team for PSP, where you have teams. Now, yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter anymore because they have, Battle of Z now, which is four players against 4, which is great. But there are a lot of games that are just not there. Like, in the PS2 library, what about the Onimusha games? There are no Onimusha games in that library. I'm not understanding that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's a shit ton of more. I have to look through and actually have to look through and name a few or name as many as I can, because I don't know all the games, but I know from a lot of people and from what they say that a lot of games that they have physical copies of for PS2 and PlayStation and PSP and PS Vita is just not there, and I'm not understanding that. Another thing is, why can't they import games? There are games that I would love to play for that are on PS2 that you can only get in Japan. So I don't understand why they can't work together. It's the same company. The Cowboy Bebop game for PS2, the Gunslinger Girl games, which are awesome. You guys need to check that out. The Blood Plus games that are only in Japan. And I took a look at that on YouTube. There was only, I think, maybe about 2 videos for that game, for both games. They had one for, they had 2 for PlayStation 2 and they had 1 for PSP, and it was awesome. The graphics were smooth. Saya just going around with a sword slashing up stuff, and I don't understand why Japan won't let us have it. You know what I'm saying? Did they think it wouldn't sell well? Anime fans will pick that up in a heartbeat if you don't already have it. But those are great games that I would love to see. A huge library of Japanese games that they have. Dragon Ball Z Legends. Forget Ultimate Battle 22 because that game is horrible, and Final Battle is horrible too. But the Inuyasha game that they had for PlayStation and for PS2, I mean, yeah, we got 2 for PS2. They were pretty good. But there was one that I have for PlayStation, the import, and I thought it was great. And I would love to have that in the library so I won't have to keep using my PlayStation anymore. Moving on to the anime section of this podcast. The anime pick of the week that I've been watching is anime called Jubei-chan, which is a story about this girl named Jubei who is stalked by this guy running around trying to give her this eye patch that's shaped like a heart, because apparently she is a reincarnation of the sword fighter Yagyu Jubei. And he keeps trying to give her this eye patch, which will give her the sword skills of Yagyu Jubei, turning her into that. And she's just, I remember she ends up putting it on. She becomes this incredible sword fighter. And she goes through and she fights demons. And she goes up against other opponents. And at first glance, I was like, nah, this looks cheesy. But after that, I was like, nah, I gotta get into this. So when I finish the anime, I'll let y'all know how it is. I'll give it a grade. And this is what I'm going to do in every episode. I'm going to pick an anime that I want to watch, and I'm going to watch the whole thing. I'm going to grade it, tell y'all what it's about. Also, I was thinking about what if they had more video game collaborations, more video game crossovers like, say, Tomb Raider and Uncharted. With Nathan Drake and Lara Croft maybe racing each other around the world to get one treasure. Or maybe the 2 of them teaming up to take on this ancient monster. I think that would be great. I wish that they would do something like that. How about a Metroid and Mega Man game, crossover game, with Mega Man and Samus Aran? I think that would be epic. I think that would be a treat for Capcom fans and Nintendo fans all together. And if a game like that came out, it would probably only be exclusively for a Nintendo console, but that would be enough to make me buy the Wii U, because I would love to see that. And if you're going to make a fighting game, if you're going to make any fighting game, out of all fighting games that have been out, I'm not going to name them all, but there's a shitload of them. Tell me why there hasn't been a DC versus Marvel game. Batman versus Wolverine? Really? Out of all games, out of all gaming ideas you're going to have, DC versus Marvel never popped up. I've been thinking about this since I was a kid. Why not? We had Marvel versus Capcom, Capcom versus SNK. We had all kinds of crossover games, Mortal Kombat versus DC. But you can't have DC versus Marvel. Wow. I'm just scratching my head on that. I don't understand it. Out of all the years, there hasn't been one. There hasn't been one. I would pay money up the ass to get a game like that. They need to make that happen. That's it for my show today. This is your boy KC. I hope y'all enjoyed episode 4 of KC the Show. I'll check y'all later. Peace.